Face to Face.
Good evening and welcome to Face to Face. I'm Niresh Eliyatambi. My guest tonight is Dr. Kavinda Jayawardena, Member of Parliament from the Gampaha district. He's here to talk about the upcoming election campaign, the 5-year anniversary of the dastardly Easter Sunday attacks and much more. Welcome to the show, Dr. Kavinda.
Thank you, Niresh.
Now, we've had 5 years gone by since that terrible Easter attack, which killed nearly 300 people and wounded so many more, destroyed so much, and traumatized the entire nation. But we've had 3 successive governments since then. The Yahapalana one, which was in office at that time. We had President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's government, and now we have the current government. But still, there is this overwhelming feeling that justice has not been done, that the proper explanation for this amazing attack, astonishing, dastardly attack, the explanation has not come. It's not satisfactory. What are your views as an MP of the Gampaha district, of the Jayala Kandana area, where it's a predominantly a Catholic belt?
Yeah, first and foremost, thank you very much for having me on your program. So Easter Sunday attack was such a tragic where, as you said, over 300 people died and probably closer to 500 people were wounded, and their families are still suffering in silence. So what has happened is that public feels none of these government, as you said, clearly had the motive to bring justice to the people who have been affected by Easter Sunday attack.
Right.
Now, Maithripala Sirisena formed a presidential commission where the report was out, but that report was not published. It was only tabled in the parliament only for the parliamentarians, and the former Attorney General said this entire attack was a conspiracy. Finally, the report was given to the Catholic clergy, but what has happened here so far, that what we see is that most of the recommendations of this commission report hasn't been implemented. So as public, we all feel that there is something beyond what is in the report. So one of the conspiracies that most of the people feel is that this attack was done in order to gain power. And at the same time, I have heard, I've seen, I've read in Parliament so many times that there were some of the intelligence officers who knew about this attack, and the SIS head Nilantha Jayawardena was informed prior to the attack, even the day of the attack, 21st of April, morning 7 o'clock, Foreign Intelligence Service have warned the Sri Lankan intelligence and even Nilantha Jayawardena, according to the report.
There had in fact been several such warnings which had been given in the days prior.
And if you go through the report, if you see, read about Podi Saharan and then IP Bandara and how he's seemed connected with some of the terrorists with the IP address, if you may check. And if you go through the Presidential Commission report very carefully, you see some of these individuals were with the intelligence officers who have had contacts with this terrorist group. And even the person who blew himself up at Tropical Inn in Dehiwala, right before he blew himself up, I'm not quite sure it was the Army Intelligence or the SIS, they have gone to his house, met with his wife, right, asked where he was. So they knew who are these people, and where they live, whereabout, and all that. So my question is that, knowing all those facts and figures, why couldn't they stop this attack? Number one. So as public, most of us don't have trust in these governments, and they haven't proven to the people of this country that they are capable of bringing justice to the people who have been affected. Nevertheless, for the whole country, because we all were victimized after this attack, and not only Sri Lankans, even tourists who died in 3 different hotels.
Absolutely.
So, so this affected our country's economy also. After the Easter Sunday attack, we fell economically also. So I think if you look at the bigger picture, it's very clear that some of these politicians are still trying to use Easter Sunday attack as a tool for their political gains. Now, very recently, Maithripala Sirisena, former president, he said he knows the mastermind behind Easter Sunday attack, but he did not have the backbone to come and say in public who did the attack and who's the mastermind of the attack. And you see that in political arena, this issue just keep coming. Politicians try to bring this matter up at given times when it's suitable for them. So it's very heartbreaking.
Now, how do you think that this issue would affect the upcoming election campaign? First, of course, we expect the presidential election, and then shortly afterwards, it is expected that there would be a general election.
I personally think this matter should not be politicized. We should not once again take a political decision based on Easter Sunday attack. Now, it's very clear when this attack happened, there was a huge difference which was led by certain extreme groups between Sinhala and Muslims and the Christians and the Hindus. The harmony that we had, the unity we had, all that in a split of a second was questioned, right? And all thanks to His Eminence Cardinal Malcolm Ranjit. He's the one who stood up and said, we must maintain our harmony, our peace in this country. So I think this entire process of finding justice for the victims of Easter Sunday attack, I think it should not be a political topic. We have to be sensitive about it. That's why, as a parliamentarian, I took this matter in Interparliamentarian Union, even at Human Rights Council in Geneva. And I had the opportunity to meet Holy Father and Cardinal Pietro Parolin, State Secretary to the Vatican, and finally, very recently, when Maithripala Sirisena made that statement, he knows the person who were behind this attack, the mastermind. I was the one who went and lodged the first complaint at CID.
That's right.
So, as parliamentarians, as citizens of this country, we must all do our due job and responsibility for the country.
Our duty to
Our duty for the
justice.
country. So I don't think we should politicize this matter. People are wounded, people are dead, people are still suffering, and we all have someone who have been affected by this, right? Especially someone like me, because Nigambo is my electorate, and Katuapitiya Church is a very well known church for all of us, and Kochikade Church is one of the churches that most of us visit and pray. So I think it's important that we leave politics out of this and fight for justice without gaining any political mileage.
Noble sentiments indeed. Let's talk about the upcoming election campaign. Now, you represent a district, Gampaha, which has 18 members of parliament. It is one of the largest in the country. And it is also quite diverse. It has quite a number of large cities, from Negombo to Wattala to Gampaha itself, of course. So it is a microcosm of urban and semi-urban Sri Lanka. What's the general public feeling in your district?
So I think it's not only Gampaha district per se. I think around the country what I see is that after country going through a bankruptcy, people being on street in queues and people fighting for fuel and gas, people lost faith in most of the politicians and political parties. And SJB, we have managed to keep our identity and our political structure in place, and we have been working with the grassroots level organizers, and we have managed to slowly gain trust of the people, and especially Honorable Sajid Premadas, our leader. He has a very unique way of doing politics. Now you see his Sakwala program. It's a very wonderful and a very interesting, attractive program where you are giving a hope to a school which do not have the capacity, which do not have the equipments to learn computer. Right. And today IT sector is the future of most of the countries. Now you see
Absolutely.
Chennai, yes. India, IT sector is huge. So at least the basics of computer knowledge is something that I think most of the children in Sri Lanka should have, or rather all children should have. So I'll just briefly tell you a story. In my electorate, for one of the Sakula programs, Honorable Sajid Premadas, leader of the opposition, came, and that entire school did not have a single computer, not even for administration.
So that's terrible in this day and age.
Not even for administration, mind you. So, he's someone who's looking into an area which most of the politicians haven't spoken about. And during COVID time, he started this HUSMA program and started giving equipments to hospitals, medicines, drugs, so on and so forth. And I think so many patients benefited out of it. So through projects like that, and there are many other projects, similar projects, we have gained trust of the people. I don't say 100% of the voters are with us. I'm not ignorant to say that, but from where we started, from 2.8 million after the parliamentary election, where we were defeated, today we are at a better wicket. So I see, I'm a person who's in my electorate and my district, so we go and meet organizers, the public, and we go for events, and I see the difference, So it's interesting to see that SJB has gained that kind of momentum, and today people have realized who could really drive this country forward. Because Niresh, you can win an election. We have seen people winning elections. Gotabaya Rajapaksa won an election with 6.9 million, landslide victory. But in the end of the day, he couldn't sustain power. And he couldn't govern this country. So what we need, a leadership who can win the election and who can govern this country, take this country forward, take this country to a better economically reformed position. Because now at this moment our country is bankrupt, right? And having one side a bankrupt country where we depend on foreign support, and if you look at beyond Sri Lanka, in geopolitically, the world is at war. You have Russia, Ukraine war, some call it a proxy war, right? Now you have the Israel, Palestine, and then the Hamas and Hezbollah and the Iranians, right? And then you have Chinese and the Indians. So there's a whole different geopolitics going around in the world, and we as a nation, a country that should face the geopolitics around the world in a way that we don't burn our hands, you know.
Right.
So I think we need that kind of leadership, and people have realized that SJB can give that leadership. We have a team, you know, we have a good team who could drive this country economically forward, and we have relationships with foreign countries, and we can build those relationships even more stronger, and get this country out of poverty and a bankruptcy. So I think for your question, it's quite clear that SJB is in the right path.
So you appear very confident that if your party were to win the election, that your party members have the skill set to turn the economy around and to take us down the pathway towards prosperity.
Most certainly. I mean, we are the only political party who have given a directive in writing, blueprint, how we are going to drive this country forward and how we are going to fix this country economically and take this country out of bankruptcy. So we are the only political party which has done. So I see some of the political parties, they say, you know, when there is an election, when you declare election, we will come up with our policy documents, so on and so forth, right? I mean, it's clear that we are going to have an election this year. It's clear, as you said, it looks like we are going to have a presidential election, right? So you don't have to wait till the end, because people should know exactly who they are voting for and what are the policies of that political party. I mean, right now we have a economic crisis, so you have to give more focus into the economy of the country, how to build the economy of the country. So I think certainly SJB have proven that we could fix the economy of this country.
So how confident are you that the voters would give you a parliamentary majority? Now you've spoken of, if your party wins, that you're confident of taking the country forward. But the question is, do you think that you could get 113 seats in parliament?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question, Nilesh, because now parliament election, or rather general election, is quite different from a presidential election. I mean, the easiest answer I could give it to you, if it's a parliamentary election, it's going to be after the presidential election, as you said. If you study the history of Sri Lankan politics, whoever may win the presidential election has won the parliamentary election. But that's not the answer that I'm going to give it to you. What I'm going to tell you is that people are smart now. People know what they're doing and what's happening around the world and in this country, especially when it concerns politics. You know, you have a smartphone in your hand, you can just Google whatever you want, you can watch YouTube, you can watch news. I mean, I don't watch news on TV anymore, you know. The phone is more than sufficient. So you're connected to the rest of the world. So you are educated, you know what's going on. So if you're a voter, right, you will most certainly look at the people who you're going to vote for. Right. Now, this is a preferential voting system what we have in Sri Lanka.
That's right.
Right. So, I'm sure people won't be fooled like in 2019 and 20, and people will most certainly will look at the candidates and their qualification, their capacity, their capability, right, their history. So, I think SJB has that kind of a lot. Without any fear, you could go and vote for, right? We don't tolerate corruption, we don't tolerate bribery, we don't tolerate, you know, doing unethical things to make yourself popular or rather make money. So I think SJB have filtered a good list of candidates. So I'm sure that seeing all the other candidates with all the other respective political parties, you put all of them in one side and SJB will have a clear victory by having the best team for parliament election.
Certainly see if your words, your prophecy comes true within the next 1 year or so. My next question, and probably my final question to you is, during the Aragalia, there was a general breakdown of confidence in Parliament, and especially in the older parliamentarians, because the people felt that the older MPs had lost touch with the population. Now you represent a younger generation of MPs. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, it's not the age, it's not how old you are. I think what's important is how can you drive this country forward, your capacity, and how genuine you are for this cause. Because we are here today because we love our country. We are here to do our part, our duty for the country. And some person can be politically savvy, politically mature, politically experienced, but if that person is not doing the right thing by the country and not being fair for the people of this country, he's a man should stay out of parliament. But there could be a person who is new and who has the capacity to do it and being genuine about it. I think you can give that person a chance. So I think there are older politicians in our parliament who have the experience, knowledge, and sometimes they don't do what they're supposed to do for the country. And we have a good young lot who are very enthusiastic, very energetic, and who wants to do their best for the country. Vice versa also. So I am not the judge, right? I'm not the judge. But
the voters will be the judge.
I think the voters are much more smarter than what you and I can think of. So I think they will do the right thing. It's a democratic country in Sri Lanka. So we have to wait and see what people would decide. But I have hope that the people of Sri Lanka will make the right decision for the country's next 5 years, because we are at a very crucial situation, because as I said before, we are a bankrupt country. We had a very bad wicket. If you want to come out of this, we have to be very smart and very shrewd. So it's up to the people. In the end of the day, people decide. So I hope and pray that all of Sri Lankans would make the right decision.
And on that note, I'm afraid we are out of time. My thanks to my guest, Dr. Kavinda Jayawardena, Member of Parliament representing the Gampaha district. Thank you very much for being on our program. We hope to see you back very soon. And thank you to our viewers for watching us tonight. Have a good evening and stay tuned for the next program on Newsfirst. Good night.
Newsfirst, face to face.
Fulfill your dream of studying in the UK.
මේ කම්පැනි එක විනාශ කළේ ඔය කපටි කෙනා. ඔක තමයි මගේ පුතාව විනාශ කළා මහපාරට ඇදලා දැම්මේ.
මගෙන් අභිමන් උදුර ගන්න ආපු යක්ෂණී මේ. යනවා යන්න මෙතන. නැත්තම් අභිමන්ගේ කඩේ ගිනි ගත්ත වගේ මං ඕවත් පණ පිටින් පුච්චනවා.
මට මාස ගානකින් පොලිසල්ලි හම්බෙලා නැහැ. මේ බංගලාව මගේ.
ඔව්.
මේ අපේ බංගලාව.
මේක ඔයාගේ බංගලාව තමයි. මං අහන්නේ මෙයාත් එක්ක මෙතන මොකද්ද කරන්න කියලා.
අනාගතේ ප්ලෑන් කරනවා.
දැන් මෙයාද ඔයාලගේ අනාගතේ ප්ලෑන් කරන්නේ? ඊ උඩ යන්න ගිහිල්ලා අතු කපා ගන්න ලෑස්ති වෙන්න එපා. හරි?
නීල පබලු අද රාත්‍රී 9ට සිරස ටෙලිතිරයෙන්.
Fulfill your dream of studying in the UK.
ජනාධිපතිතුමාගේ විදිහට අපි ගොඩද?
මේ ප්‍රතිපත්ති රාමුවත් මේකත් හිස් වූ රාමුවක්.
නායකෙක්ට පුළුවන් අවශ්‍යයි නම් සංවේදීත් වෙලා ඒ වෙලාවෙම තාර්කිකත් වෙන්න.
ජානමය හේතුත් බලපාන්න පුළුවන් ද සමහර වෙලාවට මානසික තත්ත්ව වෙනස් වෙන්න.
මානසික රෝගයක් 80%ක් ජානගතයි. 20%ක් එන්වයරන්මන්ට් එකේ ඉන්නේ.
නින්දේදිත් සිදුවෙන ශ්වසන අපහසුතාවන් පිළිබඳ අපිට වාර්තා වෙනවා. මේක ගොරවනකොට වැඩි වෙනවද?
නින්දේදී සිදුවන ශ්වසන අවහිරතාවය නැත්නම් මේක හඳුන්වනවා මේ obstructive sleep apnea කියන තත්ත්වය.
ජාතික මෙහෙවර සතියේ දිනවල උදෑසන 11ට.
Fulfill your dream of studying in the UK.
ජනාධිපතිතුමාගේ විදිහට අපි ගොඩද?
මේ ප්‍රතිපත්ති රාමුවත් මේකත් හිස් වූ රාමුවක්.
නායකෙක්ට පුළුවන් අවශ්‍යයි නම් සංවේදීත් වෙලා ඒ වෙලාවෙම තාර්කිකත් වෙන්න.
ජානමය හේතුත් බලපාන්න පුළුවන් ද සමහර වෙලාවට මානසික තත්ත්ව වෙනස් වෙන්න.
මානසික රෝගයක් 80%ක් ජානගතයි. 20%ක් එන්වයරන්මන්ට් එකේ ඉන්නේ.
නින්දේදිත් සිදුවෙන ශ්වසන අපහසුතාවන් පිළිබඳ අපිට වාර්තා වෙනවා. මේක ගොරවනකොට වැඩි වෙනවද?
නින්දේදී සිදුවන ශ්වසන අවහිරතාවය නැත්නම් මේක හඳුන්වනවා මේ obstructive sleep apnea කියන තත්ත්වය.
ජාතික මෙහෙවර සතියේ දිනවල උදෑසන 11ට.